Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity, a show about weirdos. With your hosts, John Fahey, Aaron Peter, and Matt Brousseau.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity. It's a show about weirdos, doggone it. Once again, my friend Kevin Noonan says, it's like scumbag This American Life.
Yes.
Yes.
Indeed.
Aaron, you're the most precious kitten in the game.
Hi.
How you doing?
Functioning highly as a pervert.
Yes.
Continuing to accelerate my perversion.
Yes. Good.
At an ever-increasing rate. How about you, Matt?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, you are.
Do you feel like you're accelerating into hyperversion?
Yeah,
Dude,
certainly.
Fuck.
Well,
that's my thing.
I don't do it as well as you, Aaron. I don't.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
So you're not going to let Matt be beautiful or a hypervert?
Yeah, I mean,
That's okay.
I'm not gonna not let him, but like, come on, dude. Let me. Can I have something for myself?
Yes.
You can. Matt has the good voice.
He does.
You and I sound like chirping sparrows.
Oh,
But Matt
Beautiful sparrows.
Matt is the one that really does the silky smooth.
God damn.
He's going to be doing a whole heap of talking today, which I'm very
A whole heap.
excited
A lot
about.
of.
Holy, hey, can I talk about something real quick up front?
Yeah, go
I know
for
you
it.
guys are cultured. You like music and all that bullshit.
Oh, I love
right?
music.
You
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
like
Thank you for
that shit,
noticing,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm dumb.
right.
I don't know anything about music.
But gorgeous.
Thank you. But have you heard of this guy Elvis Costello?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I saw him in an Austin Powers movie once.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And this story comes courtesy of our main man, Nick Shapiro.
Oh, yes.
He told me this story because it kind of ties into a few other things that we've talked about here, and I just loved it so much, so I thought I'd share it with you two.
Great.
And some of the fans who are listening, but
Yeah.
especially you guys.
Oh, thank you.
So I guess Elvis Costello really broke on the scene in 77,
Yeah.
and he did SNL.
Yes.
And this was before really anybody knew him. Elvis Costello and the Attractions?
Yeah.
That was so the host of that episode of SNL was just some old lady who won a contest.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Her name was Miskel something or other. This was part of their Anybody Can Host contest.
Wow.
I think he called an 800 number. Miskel Spillman, an elderly woman. Anyway, so she hosted, and they have Elvis Costello and the Attractions come on and play, and they're supposed to play their song Less Than Zero.
Yes.
But so they start playing the song, and they start playing the opening riffs, and Elvis Costello very famously says, stop, ladies and gentlemen, there's no reason for us to play this song.
Mm-hmm.
And they start playing the song Radio, Radio.
That's a classic.
Classic Costello song, protest song-ish, kind of criticizing the commercial nature of radio.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the one song that Lorne Michaels and NBC asked them to not play at all costs.
Yeah.
So they start playing the song, and apparently Lorne Michaels is there, kind of off to the side where he would normally be, not the audience, but just to the side. Just giving him the finger the whole time. And there's a line in the song, you can kind of see it in the performance, where he talks about biting the hand that feeds him and biting that hand.
Yeah.
And he's just giving a side eye to Lorne Michaels. You can see it there. And that launched Elvis Costello, at least to the U.S. audience.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, so the song Radio, Radio is about the BBC Radio's ban of God Save the Queen by the Sex Pistols.
Ah.
The Sex Pistols were originally supposed to be playing on SNL that night.
No shit.
They had to ask Elvis Costello and the Attractions to play that night because Malcolm McLaren fucked up their visas.
Wow. Really?
Yes.
No shit.
Elvis Costello and the Attractions wasn't even NBC's second choice. They originally asked to replace the Sex Pistols, the Ramones.
Wow.
And the Ramones said, we don't cover for anybody. No, we don't play as anybody's second choice. So in
We drink Steel Reserve.
excuse me. We drink piss.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, the Steel Reserve line 2. Oh, we'll take it.
Sorry, Lauren. What do you got? So then he's banned for 12 years. They institute like a lifetime ban against Elvis Costello and the Attractions. First person to be banned from SNL.
Mm-hmm.
I think later it was like Dice Clay and Martin.
Lawrence. Yes.
Famously.
Martin Lawrence was banned for the monologue. But the thing that's so funny about that...
It was about anal hygiene, and everybody uses it.
Yeah,
That's
some of
very
y'all
important.
ain't cleaning your asses properly.
And he was right.
And he was absolutely right. But the whole rest of that show is so funny.
Yeah.
Like, he did a fantastic job as a host, except for...
Going off the rails on the monologue.
Yeah, and doing, like, what would... I mean, if like, you know, Def Jam was huge at the time. Like, if you were at a Def Jam show, that was, like, you know, totally fine.
That was
you know,
the tamest bit of his set.
Yeah, and, like, the thing is that, you know, with Elvis Costello's thing and with Martin Lawrence's thing is there is this impulse, because it's live, to just go get it.
It's got it became a trope after that with SNL.
Yeah.
Of people going off script.
Yeah.
At least in terms of their performance. Sinead O'Connor ripping a picture of the
Yeah,
Pope.
you know, and Lorne Michaels knew she was going to do something, and he was, like, waiting and watching, and then when she did it, somebody, like, was, like, standing next to him, and he just goes, yep. Like, I knew it.
Yep.
I knew it, and then he canceled the applause sign, so it went to commercial on, like,
Silence.
pure silence.
Which is even more powerful.
Yeah, and also she was right. Like, she was totally right. You know, you just couldn't say it back then. But, I mean, she was entirely right, like, and totally vindicated, you know?
And also, you know, she did a better version of a Prince song. So
Yeah,
nothing compares to you. God bless her.
yeah. But Prince, you know, he didn't even sing that song. He gave it to The Family, like another one of the bands he created along the way, like The Revolution and... you know, like the Third Eye band he did, and all the time, all the bands he created. But yeah, like it just came out since he died. The original version that he sent to the guy in The Family to sing, like the demo of Prince actually
His table
singing.
scraps.
Yeah, of him actually singing "Nothing Compares to You," and the guy hadn't heard it since Prince sent it to him, so he was like freaking out. Like, he was like, "I'm totally tripping out over you sending this to me because I haven't heard this in." 30 years or whatever. But that's good stuff, Aaron.
Yeah, so 12, 15 years later, about 12 years later, after the ban, it was SNL's 25th anniversary, so they had their special.
Yeah.
And they had, at the very end of the show, Beastie Boys came on, and they're all set up in their band. You know, Mike D and Ad Rock and whatever the other name is.
Right.
And they start playing Sabotage, the opening rips to Sabotage. Huge. Crowd's like bated breath. And out comes Elvis Costello. I'm sorry, everybody. There's no reason for us to play this song right now. Starts playing Radio.
Wow.
With the Beastie Boys playing backup.
Damn.
Another thing I forgot to mention. The drummer on the original Radio performance on SNL, he's wearing a t-shirt that says, "Thanks, Malk." As a shout out to Malcolm McLaren for fucking up their visas to let them play.
Yeah, it's funny to me that he would be so uptight about it, because there was a lot of, you know, anarchism in those days. You know, everybody was all chopped up and, you know, like, but if you see some of the other live performances, it'll be like Chevy Chase in the background with a tambourine, or like Belushi, like, you know. Just
Belushi did the thing with Joe Cocker.
Right. Yeah.
Which was incredible. Like, really good, not just like, you know, mocking in any way.
Yeah. You know, Aykroyd was like, he's like, I'm the one that got Belushi into blues. He's like, he didn't know fucking shit about blues. He was all about Black Flag and fucking hardcore punk.
No shit.
It was all he was into, and then I got him into blues.
Yeah, you know, I got him into blues, right?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah, but I mean, he did.
You got him into coke, too.
Yeah, Aykroyd is a fucking character, man.
Oh, have you ever seen him talk about UFOs?
Do you know he's like a fucking like expert on like airplanes in World War II and shit?
No
That's why he's in Pearl Harbor.
Oh,
Yeah, he's like a fucking fanatic for, that. You know how some people are just into that shit?
yeah.
And I'm like a person that loves miscellaneous bullshit, but I always think it's fascinating when somebody is just like off on World War II aviation.
Yeah.
Ask me about that. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yeah, so do I.
Because it's so fucking weird, and like, why do you care?
Yeah, it had a Rolls-Royce engine, and it was
Yeah.
the first one to have a turbofan. What?
Right.
Crazy stuff.
Everything is the stickers are in, so we're gonna start sending everything out to the Patreon people. On the Patreon, I've left open to the public the episode, which is very Patreon centric. This guy's fucking a horse.
Oh, you've opened it to the masses.
It's open to everybody.
Yeah, it should be.
So you can check it out if you want to get a taste for free of what we do on the Patreon.
It tastes kind of like grass.
Ooh, yeah,
Freshly cut grass.
It does.
Why you gotta be so nasty all the time, John?
Because I'm a nasty motherfucker. But yeah, check it out, and if you'd like some more of that sort of thing, you should subscribe to the Patreon.
Yeah. That's a good taste of it.
Yes.
It is,
really
yeah. If you're into hardcore guys and you have a hardcore taste, check out this guy's fucking a horse. He's got a wife.
But he's making love to the horse.
He's making love to the horse. He says it's very consensual. He's also got brutal hemorrhoids.
There's a lot going on.
He also has brutal hemorrhoids.
He also has brutal hemorrhoids.
He also is married, right?
Yeah, he's married
Not the horse, to a human woman.
to a human woman who will serve as lookout while he's fucking the horse,
Yeah.
should he ever need it.
Yeah.
But check that out if you're
Yeah.
into if you're a hypervert or high functioning pervert, whatever it takes. Matt,
Yes, hi.
I am gonna let you take it away. You got a tale to tell.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do. So it's something that I think about every now and then. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she always says that the United States is a pendulum of sorts. It swings one way, and then it swings back the other way, and it's a very consistent thing. And I think one way you can see that is through the way we interact with drugs and alcohol in this country. And, alcohol, we have a long history with alcohol in this country, as every country does. Going back a couple, 100 years or so, 150 years, the Navy until 1850, the United States Navy used to give out a half pint of spirits for their daily ration.
Really?
So every sailor got a half pint of booze.
a day?
A day.
Half a pint?
Half a pint.
Damn.
And
That's not too much.
Of spirits?
Hey. Kicks it up a notch.
It does. It does kick it up a notch.
so we were really heavy drinkers. In 1830, the average American drank 6 beers a day in 1830, on average. It's over 2,000 beers a year. And that kind of
piss,
built
man.
up until Prohibition. The pendulum swung, and then it swung back.
Yeah.
And the same thing with marijuana. We plenty of people smoked marijuana. Hemp was a big industry in the United States. Hemp was actually on the $10 bill in 1914. That's how important it was to this country.
Right.
And then the Federal Bureau of Narcotics in 1930, they noticed an uptick on it, so they put a tax on it and said you can only give it if you're a doctor. And so then that died out. And then in the 1960s, it came back in again. And 4% of Americans admitted they smoked it. The next year it was higher. The next year it was higher. And, the 60s and 70s and the big drug culture. And amphetamines were a big thing in this country after World War II.
Right.
All the soldiers were on amphetamines. They came back and they brought the amphetamines with them.
Got their wives hooked on it.
Right. A lot of housewife drugs.
Black Betty's. Oh,
Yeah.
the house is so clean.
Yeah.
Right, and then the pendulum swung back. We had 8 years of calm and a black president, and then the pendulum swung back.
Right.
And now everything is insane.
Yeah.
And cocaine was also a very popular thing for years and years.
Chop.
Doctors would subscribe it. It was useful in everyday activities.
Yeah.
And then in the 1914 Narcotics Act canceled that out. But then the pendulum swung back again. Here's Time magazine from 1981. Whatever the price, by whatever name, cocaine is becoming the all-American drug. A snort in each nostril and you're up and away for 30 minutes or so. Alert, witty, and with it, no hangover, no physical addiction, no lung cancer. Instead, drive, sparkle, and energy.
Oh.
It was back.
Chop it up.
Chop it up.
Baseball was not immune to any of this. Baseball, for years, had their own alcohol problem. Here's a Mickey Mantle story for you. It's from Jim Bouton in Ball 4. He says he remembers one time Mickey Mantle was so injured he didn't expect to play. I guess he got himself smashed. The next day, he looked hungover out of his mind. He was sent to pinch hit. He could hardly see. So he staggered up to the plate and hit a tremendous drive to left field for a home run. Came back to the dugout. Everybody shook his hand and leapt all over him. And he was getting a standing ovation from the crowd. And he squinted out to the stands and he said, "Those people don't know how tough that really was." But amphetamines were also a huge part of baseball after World War II. It was some players said that over half the league was using them. One of the players in Jim Bowden's book, a pitcher, he got 500, and they said that'll last him a month.
Jesus. Good God.
And, it was against team policy for some teams, but they would just go to the other team's dugout or clubhouse, and they would get it from them. Everybody was using it. It wasn't a big thing. But it caused a lot of problems.
No big deal.
Jim Bowden, he said one player, this guy John Kennedy, flew into a rage at the umpire after a called third strike, and he was tossed out of the game. He was still angry, so he went to the dugout, kicked the water cooler to the ground, and he threw it on the field. And they said, "Well, why did you do that? You're not that type of guy." And he said, "Just as I got called out on strikes, my greenie kicked in."
Wow.
They called them greenies.
Greenies.
Wow.
And so there's a pill for everything back then.
Yeah.
And in baseball, there's a form of hitting, of swinging at a pitch. Someone who's really quick is at the plate, and they'll swing with an acute downward motion to hit the ball so it bounces off the turf and bounces high in the air. And then they can run to first before they get thrown out. This is called the Baltimore chop.
Ah.
And it doesn't have anything to do with this story.
Okay. Okay.
But
Because this story is about Pittsburgh chop.
Ah.
it's the Pittsburgh chop.
I want to tell you a little bit about Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, in many ways, is a truly a picture of America in its so many different facets. It was not always a successful baseball city, but there's a ton of history with baseball. It was founded in 1881. The Pittsburgh Pirates were 1881. They joined the National League in 1887. Their record is 500. Basically throughout their whole 100+ years. They lost the first ever World Series because their starting pitcher he injured his shoulder trap shooting.
Wow.
As you do back then.
Trap shooting? Mm-hmm. What's that?
It's a form of shooting. I don't really know. I just like the idea of someone who, in the biggest game of their career, can't play because they injured themselves just
shooting something.
Shooting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
But then they won. They won in 1909, 1925, 1960. They beat the Yankees in Game 7. Bill Mazeroski hit a game-winning home run in Pittsburgh, the only time it's ever happened. And they won again in 1971. And in 77 and 78, they finished second in their division. They were a hot team. Pittsburgh in 79 was a happening place. Pittsburgh itself, it goes back forever. 19,000 years ago, there's remnants of Paleo-Indians who lived there. Before the whites showed
that
up.
means they didn't eat any bread and they were super shredded.
Correct.
Right?
Yes, they lived in Santa Monica and they just visited Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
It was a very settled native area. The Senecas called it Deondega. There's many tribes there. There's the Lenape. We call them the Delaware, the Erie, the Iroquois, the Shawnee, Susquehannock. And they helped us fight the French during the French and Indian Wars. But Pittsburgh was the perfect place for a city because it's where three rivers meet.
Right.
It's where the Allegheny from the north meets the Monongahela from the south. This forms the Ohio that goes west to the Mississippi.
Right.
So it's the perfect place because back then, boats were planes,
Right.
in essence.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Boats were planes.
So the French built a fort there. After the French and Indian War, the English razed it, and then they built their own fort, Fort Pitts, which was named after Pitt the Elder. It was originally supposed to be pronounced Pittsburgh, like Edinburgh.
Ah.
But we're American, so we just destroyed that.
Right. Pittsburgh.
And then when we fought the English in the War of 1812, Pittsburgh became the place where we built steamboats and railroads, and Carnegie's Steel was founded there.
Huh.
And they had fiery Union strikes that burned down part of the city.
Right.
1900s, it was a hot spot for bootlegging. Some people say the term speakeasy was coined in the area. And in World War II, it was the arsenal of democracy. That's where we built so many powerful machines for World War II. They had their own environmental problems. The whole city was covered in steel smoke.
Right.
Soot.
Yeah.
Soot. You'd wear a white shirt in the beginning of the day, it'd be black by the end of the day.
Fuck, really?
They had to keep their lights on all day because you couldn't see, even if the sun was out.
Jesus Christ.
But 1979 was a great time to be there. The steel crisis had yet to really, the nationalization of, the globalization of steel had yet to really affect the city. People were still having a great time. The Steelers had won their third Super Bowl in 5 years.
Terry Bradshaw?
Lynn Swann.
Oh.
They were partying. There was great places. There was constant partying. There was cocaine everywhere.
Oh.
It was so prevalent in society in that time that everybody just assumed it was legal.
Yeah, I heard that you could go out at night with a black shirt, and then at the end of the night, it'd come back white.
It was very chop abundant.
Yeah.
Cocaine was so prevalent in American society, there were ads for cocaine in magazines. Here's a couple for you. Snowblow, it adds life. It's basically a perfume bottle that sprays water into your nose so you don't get dry.
Wow.
Because, what does it say? Snowblow Nose Doucher is the only civilized alternative to wet fingers.
Wow.
The original dehydro bottle. It removes moisture from Coke.
Oh.
If you snort, don't get caught. Always be prepared. Here's a snow matchbook, they called it. It features one razor blade, 2 3.5-inch snorters, 2 self-sealing stash bags, 1 plastic sorting card, and 1 black glass chopping plate.
Oh.
All you need.
Oh, the chop
toolkit.
Here's from Easyliner. Tonight's forecast, snow.
Yeah.
Ah, there we go.
Buy your girlfriend a decorative necklace with which she can use to spoon Coke out. Bummers. A pictorial for those who have the usual difficult time of snorting things out when, and it's a picture of a woman snorting Coke out of a fuzzy rug.
Yeah.
Oh.
Bummer, dude.
Total such a bummer.
And also Gasper. Do it orally with the Gasper oral or nasal snow ingester. Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bring the whole family.
Do you have the Hooter?
Oh, yeah, the vacuum?
Yeah.
The gold vacuum.
Yeah. I definitely don't have one of those.
Is that where I haven't seen it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I definitely haven't seen it in my possession. I definitely did not get it on eBay for a reasonable price.
So Pittsburgh was a place where you could do coke, you could hang out and drink, and you could
Fuck yeah,
go
man.
work, and everybody was in a good mood.
Right.
It was a happening place. And this was a happening place for a couple of local boys, a guy named Dale Schiffman and his friend Kevin Koch, K-O-C-H.
Ah.
And Schiffman was a part-time photographer. Koch had just graduated from welding school. They were lifelong best friends. And Kevin Koch's friend, not Schiffman, but another guy, signed him up to be the mascot for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And the Pirates hadn't had a mascot before. But in the spirit of the San Diego Chicken, they wanted a parrot mascot.
Yeah, like pirates have parrots on their shoulders.
Right.
Cool.
And so he tried out, and he did some dances and some songs, and he was selected.
Oh, you went to the mascot audition and he made it?
Yeah, that's how it works. And the next day, after this, he gets in a limo from the team owner, and then from the limo gets in a private jet, and they bring him to spring training, and it's there he bumps into the 2 biggest athletes in Pittsburgh at the time, Willie Stargell and Dave Parker. And now he's in the dugout with him. This is a local boy's dream.
How old is he at this point?
He's about 23, 24.
Oh, prime chop age.
Oh, yeah.
So Willie Stargell was he's a Hall of Famer. He's a legend of sorts. He would swing a sledgehammer in the on-deck circle. You know, some guys swing 2 bats when they're warming up. He would swing a sledgehammer.
Oh, good for him.
He was the first guy ever to hit a ball out of Dodger Stadium.
Really?
The only guy to ever do it twice.
Jesus.
He was 6'2". He wasn't that big of a guy. He's 6'2", like 180 pounds. Not a huge man. But he said he didn't just hit pitchers. He took away their dignity. That's what one pitcher said.
Oh, my God.
He was an MVP. He was a Hall of Famer. He was known as Pops. He was the leader of the Pittsburgh Pirates. He had been with them since 1962. He played his whole career with them, about 20-plus years.
Jesus.
And Dave Parker was kind of the new hotshot. He'd been with the team for about 5-6 years at this point. 6'5", 230 pounds.
Jesus.
He would, instead of cutting an apple, he would just rip it in half and eat it with his hands.
Good God.
One time...
Fruit.
Yeah.
He's a hungry boy.
Sounds like something Andre the Giant would do.
Yeah.
One time he hit the ball so hard the cover came off of it. He literally hit the cover off the ball.
No shit.
He hit the longest home run in minor league history. He hit a ball that landed in a coal car, and the coal car eventually went over to Ohio. So he hit a home run over 2 states.
Wow. Very nice.
He was a flashy guy. The Pirates were the first team the MLB allowed to have earrings. He always wore a nice earring. He wore a Star of David around his neck. He wasn't Jewish, but they asked him why. He said, "Well, I'm a star, and my name is David."
Oh my God, that's good stuff.
That is legendary. God.
And in 1978, he was the most valuable player of the major leagues.
Shalom.
And so there's
Mahalo.
And this Pirates team was close. With Stargell as their pop, they were a family of sorts. They took on the moniker from the Sister Sledge song, "We Are a Family." Stargell heard that one day, and he went up to the announcement booth and said, "This is our song now. You're going to play this before every game."
Really?
And they did.
And he's swinging a sledgehammer.
You don't fuck with that guy.
Yeah. There's not a lot of debate there.
No. It was a diverse team. There's only like 35 guys on a roster, so 11 of them were black, 4 were Hispanic. They were a very close-knit bunch despite these things. They would joke around and laugh and play and giggle, and no one got angry at the different types of music they would play. They had their manager was this guy named Chuck Tanner. He was from Pittsburgh. He arrived in the team in a trade. Their owner traded for him.
Really?
Which you usually don't trade for a manager.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Their owner at the time was this weird guy named Charlie Finley. He once made his own mascot. It was a donkey. He painted an O on it, and he would bring it to parties.
Oh, what?
He once paid his players, in honor of Mustache Day, he paid any player who grew a mustache $300.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Fun. They had some characters. This guy, Burt Blyleven, who was a total old school type pitcher, a total asshole on the mound. Anybody who walked on the mound, he'd say, "Get off my damn mound."
Really?
And they also had this guy, this real goofball by the name of Dale Berra. I'm going to show you a picture of Dale Berra because I need you to remember this picture.
Okay.
This is Dale Berra. He's Yogi Berra's son.
Oh.
And Yogi
boy.
Berra's wife must have been a complete angel to make a boy that even looks that decent
Yeah.
coming from Yogi.
Yeah.
So that's Dale Berra.
Jesus.
Remember that picture.
Oh, God.
He's got a handsome little mustache. Bushy.
Bushy, very good for chop storage.
So this was the team that Kevin Koch joined. And he became a sort of local celebrity for him. They never really had a mascot. Pittsburgh wasn't the type of town who took to mascots, all these blue-collar workers. But he won them over. He became a local celebrity. And he'd work his ass off during the games. The players all respected him. Every game, he would lose 6 pounds sweating.
Jesus Christ, in the suit?
In the suit. He wore this big
Lord
parrot
almighty.
head.
That's pretty cool, man.
One game, it reached 135 degrees in the suit. He passed out twice. He still finished the game. He lost 14 pounds that day. But he would make $25 a game, and after the first season, the team liked him so much, they said he could make up to $40,000 that year.
Whoa.
Hey, dancing around in a suit, losing weight? Sign me up.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ, you're fucking killing yourself.
And so for him, he said he was young, single, and he was taking on the world. It was, a local lad playing with his heroes now, and one of them. And so everything is going relatively normal. 78, they finished second. 79 was going to be their year. And in 79, in November 1979, it's the off-season of baseball. Dave Parker's taking a flight to Tokyo to play some ball out there. And there's this guy sitting next to him named Shelby Greer, a local lad. Mm-hmm. And Shelby notices when the seatbelt light on the plane turns off, immediately Dave Parker runs to the bathroom. Mm-hmm. And then he comes out and he sits down and he's sniffling a lot. Mm. And Shelby goes, "Oh, I know what's going on here." So he says, "Now it's my turn." So he goes to the bathroom. And he does a couple bumps of coke, and it's good shit.
Is he doing Parker's blow?
No, not yet. Hold on.
Oh, it's his own.
It's his own. Shelby Greer was a local guy. He was an oil and gas surveyor. He was 23,
and he brought his own chop on the flight.
He was making a ton of money. And one day, someone offered some chop a couple years ago, and he said he loved it so much, and he knew he wanted to do chop, but he only wanted to do the best chop.
Yeah, well, if you're gonna do something, you do it right.
And so his goal was, if there's ever chop, I want to make sure people are doing the good shit.
Yeah.
He would carry a kit with him to test the quality and the purity.
Jesus.
And through his business, he would fly around a lot and to different cities.
Right.
And, one time he went to Gainesville and he would rent a car there and he'd drive to Miami or Fort Lauderdale and buy a pound of chop, stuff it in his raincoat, and get on a plane and fly back.
A pound?
A pound.
In his raincoat?
In his raincoat.
Wow.
Nothing to see here.
Chop aficionado.
So he sees Parker do this, and he goes in the bathroom, and he does his bumps, and he takes a little bag, and he fills it up with Coke, and he walks back, and he says to Parker, he says, "Here's thank you for the $500 I won off you guys last week." It was a lie. He's just trying to think of something to say. So Parker takes it, he goes to the bathroom, and he comes back, and Parker goes, "Holy shit, I haven't had shit that good since I was in Venezuela." Because in '76, Parker played summer ball in Venezuela, and he loved the Coke.
Right.
So Parker says, "Where are you getting off?" And Greer says, "I'm getting off in Denver." So Parker gets off the flight in Denver. He's supposed to keep going to Tokyo. He gets off, detours to Greer's apartment in Denver. He has another apartment where they do a bunch of Coke, and Parker buys 2 grams off him for $120.
Oh.
And Greer doesn't make any profit off this.
Right.
He's just like, "Hey, this is a fun thing. I'm down to just hang out with these cool guys."
Right. He loves good chop.
Mm-hmm. And so from this, Parker starts inviting him to all the parties, all the outings. He starts being like, "Hey, I'm going on the road. You want to meet me somewhere?"
Yeah.
And there's so much drugs in baseball. Cocaine was just another drug.
Right.
From Carl Yastrzemski used to have a bottle called Superman on it, and it was just full of amphetamines. Willie Mays would have this red juice in his locker. It was just liquid speed.
Oh, my God.
And they said that Steve Carlton, when he was pitching, he would make all these weird faces. And the broadcasters wouldn't know what was up. All the players knew he was hopped up on amphetamines.
Really?
Yeah, because he was ticking all the time.
Jesus Christ.
You ain't cheating, you ain't trying, man.
That's right.
How bad do you want to win? There's a whole city resting on your shoulders.
Right, on your jittery-ass shoulders.
Yeah, dude, results.
So that 79 season was amazing for Pittsburgh. They won the World Series that year. Everybody was in great spirits. And so the 80 season was supposed to be the next big thing. Mm-hmm. And Shelby Greer meets Parker after the World Series, and that's when they start hanging out together. And during the 80 seasons, it's spring training. It's like April or May or whatever. And they go down to Puerto Rico. And Dale Berra, remember Dale Berra? Mm-hmm. He's been doing chops since '78 when he tried it out on a New Year's party, and he's like, "Wow, this is great." And he's hanging out with Parker, and he goes, "Parker," he asked him, he said, asked him if he ever used cocaine, and Parker just brushed him off. And then that night, there's a knock on his hotel door, and Parker's there with a duffel bag, and he says, "Does this answer your question?"
Jeez. Oh, my God. A duffel bag?
Yeah.
Dad have any cute sayings about this?
And so combine this with Shelby Greer, and now Shelby Greer is flying to Denver. He's flying wherever they go, and he's buying a half ounce from Venezuelan college kids, and he's flying to San Diego where he'll meet Parker, and Parker will pay him money, and then all of a sudden the rest of the team's getting in, and Parker's paying him for other people's chop now. And everybody knew it, and everywhere they went, Greer would sell to other teams. He would be, after the game was over, he'd stand out in front of the ballpark just selling to players.
Good God. He's still in the parrot suit?
No, this is Shelby Greer. And he wasn't the only guy. There's this guy named Curtis Strong. He was a Philadelphia chef. He would be selling to players in Philadelphia, and then in Atlanta, and Pittsburgh, New York, and Kansas City.
Really?
So there was just, the players wanted chop, and there were some guys who could get it for him.
A couple of weirdos.
And so the 80 season wasn't that remarkable. The Pirates, I think they finished third. They didn't have a great season, but, they were still a pretty good team. Mm-hmm. Things were looking up. And then in 1981, 2 things joined the Pittsburgh Pirates. One of them was more cocaine.
Yeah, can we trade Yastrzemski for an 8-ball?
And the other thing was this pitcher by the name of Rod Scurry. Now, Rod Scurry was a high school phenom. All he ever wanted to do was pitch. He just wanted to play baseball. He'd be in all these interviews, and they'd be like, "Well, what do you like?" He's like, "Baseball." "What do you want to do?" "Baseball."
Really?
It was just his life. Nothing else mattered to him except for baseball. He is a lefty, had a great curveball. A lefty with a good curveball in baseball is something it's not easy to find. Every team has one good lefty, basically.
Right.
And the first time he used cocaine was in the minors. He went fishing at 5 a.m., and he did a gram of coke.
He did a gram of coke at 5 in the morning, like straight away?
Yeah, fishing.
Yeah. Caught a whole mess of tarpon.
You know, when I'm out there up early, just looking for a nice, relaxing day out on the lake, sun's just coming up.
I like to bump a gram.
Yeah. To the dome.
To the dome.
Talking to the fish, talking to death.
And he played in the minors with Dale Berra, so they had a cocaine connection between them, and they both enjoyed chopping it up. And so the 81 season, Scurry has his first success with the Pirates. The first game he starts, he goes 7 innings, shutout baseball. He gets the win. The headline in the newspaper that night said, "Scurry can't sleep on major success."
Oh, yeah.
Because he told reporters he couldn't sleep the night before.
Wow.
And they were like, wow, this young kid, man, he's got so much energy. Even his coaches were like, well, sometimes players, they don't sleep, but they take it out on the other team, and that's what we want. But, of course, he didn't tell him that he was up all night doing chop.
Right, of course.
And during this time, Scurry becomes friends with the parrot, Kevin Coke.
He becomes friends with the Coke parrot.
The Coke parrot.
Can you imagine?
And
Where do I get some chop? Talk to the parrot.
Talk to the giant parrot.
Scurry was...
Parrot!
Big
He'll
Bird?
talk back to you.
He won't shut up. He's coked up, sweating like a pig.
Parrot won't stop talking because he's so chopped.
So Scurry...
I really like you guys. You guys want to go to business together? I met you guys tonight, right? No.
Now, Coke didn't really want to be the middleman. And Scurry became friends with him through Coke's sister, who was married to a minor leaguer that Scurry was friends with, and that's how they became close. But Coke said, well, I don't want to be the middleman. I'll give you the number of my friend Dale Schiffman, the part-time photographer and his old friend. And so then Scurry started everybody would just call Schiffman. They would call before a game. Berra and Scurry would call Coke to call Schiffman. Before the game, Coke would go to Schiffman's house, pick up the chop, and then bring it to the clubhouse. And at this time in 1981, Greer's having so much fun doing Coke and hanging out with Pirates that he moves back to Pittsburgh full time. And he becomes a regular face in the clubhouse. Everybody knows him as, that's Parker's guy.
They just let the guy into the clubhouse?
Yeah. Dave Parker was a big star, and, he wanted his friends to be around, so he was happy.
Huh. They were fucking.
There's no rules back then. You could be entourage-y, I guess,
Hey, more power to you.
The pendulum's swinging.
Yeah, I think they were swinging. Which is great.
Yeah.
You got to swing at pitches,
You do,
Absolutely.
yeah. You can't just throw walks all day.
Yeah.
And so the first baseman, part-time outfielder on this team is a guy named Dave Milner. Parker and Milner, after games, they would just drive around Pittsburgh all night, just snorting Coke until they were out, and then they would part ways.
What the fuck? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Just driving around steel mills and chopping it up.
Mm-hmm.
Good for them.
You know, that sounds miserable.
Oh, really? From sunny California? You don't like the overcast factory tour while getting
And driving
chopped all
around
night?
coked up after a baseball game?
Yeah.
Go to sleep.
Yeah. I really like baseball. Do you? I do.
Yeah, man, I love it so much. Balls, stitches, bats,
Yeah.
walks.
I like the exercise.
We get to wear belts. Our sports uniform has a belt,
I love slapping other dudes on the ass. And,
stirrups, mounds, bases, all of it. What about you? Yeah, me too. I
love
it.
chewing stuff.
Oh, look, a steel mill.
I wonder what they're doing in there.
Are they chopping it up in there? Yeah. And also in 1981, Major League Baseball went on strike for 2 months. And so during this time, the players had a lot of downtime, and they filled that with chop.
Oh, yeah.
And they would all, every night they'd be going to clubs and bars. Coke would just be on the tables. Anybody who had it was the toast of the town, basically.
Right. They were doing picket lines.
Yeah, during the strike, they were doing balls.
Balls and strikes. Schiffman had this system he would do to let the ladies know that he had Coke. This was his patented move.
I have Coke!
No, it's even sneakier than that. What he'd do is he'd keep his Coke in one pocket and he'd keep his money in the other pocket, and then he'd offer to buy a woman a drink. And she'd say yes, and he'd reach in his Coke pocket and accidentally pull the Coke out and go, oops. And then he would put a finger to his lips and say, if you don't tell anybody, you can have some. Smooth.
John, write that down.
Okay.
And the women would swoon.
Yeah.
Coke swoon.
But I love cocaine.
Never mind the drink.
Oh.
Do you have one of those nasal douches? I don't want to be snorting it out of the shag carpet later.
Or a wet finger.
Or the bottom of a Cadillac Eldorado.
Do you have a hooter?
In 1982, the team finished third. They were not as good as they had been, but still, much like Pittsburgh,
They haven't slept.
well, it doesn't help.
Yeah, having a great time.
Much like Pittsburgh, things were still going well enough where the boom hadn't yet busted.
Right.
And in 1982, they said, well, we made it this far. Let's do more.
The chop don't stop, baby.
By this point, Dale Berra, Dave Parker, Ron Scurry, and outfielder Lee Lacy would share 7 grams a week between them.
My Christ.
It would just be one of those things. I don't have any chop. Do you? Yeah. All right, let's do your chop.
4 guys splitting a gram a week.
7 guys splitting a gram a week. Or no, I'm sorry, 4 guys splitting 7 grams a week.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's even worse.
Yeah.
But that's, I mean, a gram a day per guy.
Yeah, that is out of control.
Extra.
Very extra.
Very, very extra.
And it got to the point, so before even their home opener, before the first home game that season, the first thing they did was made sure that they had chop set up so they could do it before the game. And it's about this time that Ron Scurry, he meets a local air conditioning businessman named Kevin Connolly during a double date. And they do a little bit of coke, and they have such a great time.
With each other?
With their dates, too. It's a foursome.
In the bathroom, like, hey, man, you know, my date's great and all, but you and me and this chop, we really got something going here, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, you know I play baseball? You want to go for a drive?
I do air conditioning.
Baseball sounds way better. And they have such a good time, they go out the next Friday, and they do it again. And it gets to the point where Connolly can't keep up. He can't afford to throw $50, $100, $150, $200.
These are the major leagues.
Right. And he has a brilliant idea. He says, well, in order to break even, I just want to do free Coke. I'll buy a bunch of Coke and sell it, and then I'll just do enough that I break even. And so he started buying quarter ounces. And then he met Dale Berra, and Dale wanted some, so he started buying quarter kilograms. And then he started buying kilograms.
Oh, boy.
But it wasn't, again, it hadn't busted yet. 1982 was the best year of Scurry's career.
Wow.
He was one of the best left-hand pitchers in baseball. He had a curveball that some would say was the best in baseball.
Really?
By modern statistics, he was the fourth most. He was the fourth best player on the Pirates by modern statistics. This thing called win shares, where he won. In essence, he won the 4th most games for them, combining all of the stats, these fancy stats, And so he was able to convince himself that if I had this good of a year, the Coke's not a problem.
Yeah.
And so now he would buy from Connolly and Shipman, and then he'd go on the road and he'd meet other people like Curtis Strong or Shelby Greer would travel with the team. And so there was always Coke no matter where they went. Any game they played, they could do Coke before the game. They could hang out all night and do Coke after the game.
Jesus.
But the team didn't do that well. The team finished 4th this year.
Right. Oh, they haven't done enough.
And yeah.
Must be some bad shit.
And there was even one player who was his first time starting consistently for the team, and he finished 2nd in errors, in the major leagues.
Jesus.
That man was Dale Berra.
Really? Wow.
And in 1982, though, the steel industry was starting to crumble more. From 79 to 82, the steel industry lost 150,000 jobs. In 1 year, it lost $3 billion. The globalization of steel was slowly destroying this town, and the cocaine was slowly destroying this team.
Wow.
1983 was the peak year for cocaine. For Pirates, maybe everywhere, who knows. Kevin Connolly was now driving to Miami to trade $40,000 for 2 kilos of cocaine regularly. I don't know if it's once a week or once a month, but that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And what they would do, here's how he would get around security. This is a fun trick. So first you take the big block of coke and you put it in a plastic bag. Then you place that bag inside of another bag. Then you dip that bag in mustard. Then you take that bag and you put it in a bag full of coffee beans.
Mm-hmm.
And then you sew it into your jacket.
Yeah. Yep.
That's the most chopped up idea I've ever
Yeah, who
heard.
thought of
Listen,
that?
man, he's a deal, man.
Yeah.
You want to get through security?
You got any Coleman's?
What is this, Folgers? What is this bullshit?
Coleman's and Folgers.
And so he...
Goldens?
Yeah,
you get
a
it.
taste of choice shit.
Yeah, is it stone ground? What kind of mustard do you use?
I got mustard. Listen, I deal with baseball people. I got mustard all over me. All right? It's just...
Sir, is that mustard coming out of your jacket?
Yeah. I'm fucking friends with the Pirates. What do you care?
And so...
The Pirates' colors is yellow, and
It's good. It's gold and black. Black and gold.
I like my mustard golden and I like my coffee black. I like my players and my chop white.
This chop smells like coffee mustard.
I don't know if it's the coffee or the chop, but I got a shit. It's Colombian. Which one?
So Connolly's going down to Miami and he's buying coke from everywhere. He would go onto these boats out of Miami Vice, these boats riddled with bullets, but they're nice. They're nice boats.
Oh my God. What the fuck?
Those are houses riddled with bullets. The boats were called cigarette boats. So the boats that would smuggle cigarettes. And sometimes he would just meet people in parking lots. Sometimes there would be parking lots with 5 or 6 cars. All of their trunks would be open with a guy standing in front of it going, try mine, try mine, try mine. And each trunk had 5, 6, 7 kilos of coke in it.
No fucking way.
So you just do the rounds being like, oh, yeah, I'll try that one, I'll try that one.
Wow.
And
Which one of these goes well with mustard?
and now at this point, Scurry is buying coke from Schiffman before every game. So every single game, he is in the dugout. He's completely high on coke before the game, after the game, and but the dealers are having a great time.
The dealers are having a great time. They are. They're having a great time.
Everywhere they go, people know who they are.
Yeah.
They get primo seating in the clubs. They're hanging out with famous athletes. They're friends with these athletes too. They're friends with the most popular people in town.
Yeah.
At the end of the night, they would go to a bar. And then the bar would close, they'd go to another bar, they would sell, they'd go to another bar and sell. They were making $2,800 every Friday and Saturday. Every week they would make $13,000, but they weren't making any money from the players. Because the players are very stodgy with their money.
Really?
They would say things like, oh, I'll get you later. I got some now. So, I owe you, but I got some coke on me now, so I'll pay you later for the other stuff.
Yeah.
Dave Parker would, instead of paying Shelby Greer, they would play backgammon and gamble for it, and then Parker would just win some coke off of him or settle some of his losses by beating Greer in backgammon. Or they would borrow money from dealers to pay other dealers.
Good God.
In fact, one player, he would always pay with a check. That player was Dale Barra. And one of the dealers was said, no one wants to explain why I have a bunch of Dale Barra checks made out to cash. Or one of his checks was written out to it was for $6,200 and it would bounce.
Oh.
Son of a major leaguer.
Oh my God.
But these guys the dealers were getting perks. They were sleeping with a lot of women.
Sure, they have access because of the relationships. Right.
Kevin Koch, the parrot, became very popular in town. He was judging bikini contests. He was sleeping. He tells this one story. He was judging a bikini contest on the first floor of a bar. And between rounds, he would run up to the second floor where there's a private room, and he'd do a bunch of coke, and then he'd run back down and judge the bikinis, and then run back up.
Yeah.
And Dale Schiffman started hanging out with the Pittsburgh Penguins. He became friends with the hockey players there. These were his heroes, and now he's hanging out just as a regular guy. And, because Coke was everywhere back then. Jack Nicholson and Waylon Jennings were featured in People magazine as, fancy Coke guys.
Wow.
Lawyers were doing it, doctors, front office management, and the teams were doing it. Other players were doing it. Paul Molitor on the Brewers, he once had the police called to his house in 1980 just to see if he was still alive.
Yeah.
Because he had done so much Coke. Tim Raines was a Hall of Fame baseball player, second most stolen bases ever. He would carry Coke with him on the field. Mm-hmm. And he would always slide head first, so he wouldn't break the Coke vials in his back pocket.
No.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Gave him the nickname Tim Rock Raines.
Wow.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
In the early 80s, 3 Kansas City Royals were jailed for cocaine possession. And one of the players, Vita Blue, he said, if you were to make a case against everybody who uses drugs in pro sports, you might have to close down some of the teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Looking at you, Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
We are family.
Well, by then they weren't.
Oh.
They weren't family anymore?
No.
Wait, what? Mom?
By 83, Stargell had retired, and the familial atmosphere had broken up. Now there would just be groups of players doing their thing. The Coke guys would be would here, and the other guys would be over there, and everyone was very separated.
All paranoid. You think they're talking about us? Here, Bessie, give me the hooter. How come that guy doesn't do chop? Whose job does he do? They're doing Benny's. Queers.
And so after a World Series, now it's 3-4 years later, and the team isn't playing as well. They're struggling. The fans are getting angry. It got so bad that people were throwing stuff at Dave Parker. One fan almost hit him with a D battery.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
And there's a lot of things for Parker. By then he had I think it was by then he had quit Coke. He had a daughter, and he realized I love baseball more than Coke. I love my daughter more than Coke. I love life more than Coke. But he was also a very flashy guy, and he's a big black man, and I think in Pittsburgh, that's a tough combination.
Yeah.
Especially back then. I don't know about today. Don't email me. And things were getting even worse. One day after finishing work, Kevin Connolly goes home, and he turns on the Pirates game, and he sees the game's not over, and he sees there's a lefty in the on-deck circle, so Rod Scurry's probably coming in. Turns out there's a knock on his door. Rod Scurry's at his door asking for Coke.
When he should be at
when
the
he
game.
should be in the bullpen.
Oh, yikes.
At 4 a.m., Dave Parker got a call from Shelby Greer, and he said, Shelby Greer said, there's this player in my apartment. He's tearing it up looking for Coke.
He's tearing it up.
That player was Dale Barra.
He's tearing it up, dude.
One time during a game, Dale Barra, he was standing on first base. He was leading off. He was taking his lead from first base. It was a 3-0 count. Nothing was really happening. He got picked off from first base. Basically stopped paying attention to everything. The players said they had to talk to him all the time during the game to keep his focus up.
Jesus Christ.
So he made 8 errors in 1981. In 1982, he made 30. In 1983, he made 30 again.
Oh, my God.
Every day, in every game, Scurry would fall asleep in the bullpen. One time, he fell asleep standing up in the outfield during batting practice. These guys were just staying up all night doing Coke, and the only time they got to sleep was when they got to the ballpark.
Yeah.
And now Scurry's stats were not as good. His ERA jumped 300%. Suddenly he wasn't the best lefty in baseball. He had one great year, and suddenly everything was falling apart for him. And at this point he was just playing baseball so he could pay for Coke.
Wow.
He was doing up to 9 grams a night at times.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
What do you mean,
No. It's like the fucking longbowmen who are shooting 400 fucking yards. No. 9 grams a night? Then this guy is a specimen and he should be in the major leagues.
He's a chop factory.
9 grams?
He's got what do they call it?
Chop nose?
No.
Deviated septum?
He's got,
Ball peen hammer?
He's got, he's worked up a...
Tolerance?
Oh, right. Well,
That's a yikes amount of chop.
that's a lot of chop.
It is.
Now, maybe it's not every night, but
still
for one night.
God.
And yet, the mirage was still there. Somehow the Pirates finished second that year. Somehow.
I bet you know what they thought it was.
I think.
Now, 1984, the off-season, Rod Scurry goes. He's all chopped out and he's freaking out, and he decides he's going to go home back to his family just to get back into life. But he makes this mistake. He doesn't stay with his family. He decides he's going to go to a hotel and clean himself up, and he spends the entire off-season just doing coke in his hotel.
Yikes!
Just like a few miles away from his family. And by this point now, all of this, the teammates, they realized something was going on. Mm-hmm. And at one point during the next 1984 season, Rod Scurry's on the phone with his dad, and he just blacks out. And his dad hangs up and calls this other pitcher, and the pitcher goes in, and the guy, he makes a deal with Scurry. He's like, hey, here's what happens. Either you stop on your own, or I force you to stop, or you have to leave the team. And so Scurry's like, okay, fine, I'll stop. And so there's this pitcher, he hangs out with him for the rest of the night. They have some Dom Perignon, eat some crackers, go to bed. Scurry calls his dealer and goes gets more coke.
Wow.
And then one time in 1984, he's in I believe he's in Los Angeles, and he's doing a lot of coke in his room. And yeah.
No.
And the psychosis hits.
Oh, chop
yikes.
psychosis.
Suddenly, his room is full of snakes. There's cameras in his television.
He hates
Whoa.
And he goes crazy. He tears apart his whole room, smashes his television to find the cameras. And the whole team, not the whole team, but some players show up. They block the security from, coming in. They say, we'll take care of it. And the team sends him off to rehab. And they say, hey, the news of that was, hey, guys, Scurry has a little bit of a problem. He's going to rehab. He's going to take care of it. Not a big deal. Everything is fine.
Grab his coke. Grab all his coke.
He goes to rehab for 28 days. He's pronounced clean. And they send him back.
Uh-oh.
Uh-huh.
Because back then there was no system in place to deal with coke addiction.
Right.
There wasn't a process. He was at his rehab. They gave him a mound. He pitched. Everybody, there was a facade of cleanliness to it all. But his parents and his brother visited him, and they said, no, he's still broken. But the team took him back in, and everybody said the problem is solved. But a guy like Kevin Connolly, he saw it. He's like, that was a total fucking sham. Yeah.
Really?
I know how much coke that guy was doing. There's no way he's clean. He's doing mounds of coke.
Yeah.
And around this time, the FBI takes notice in this player going to rehab. There's been a lot of rumors throughout all of these major league cities of all this coke happening. And the FBI, they say, okay, why is this guy in rehab? And so they go and they interview him, and they find out everything.
No.
He gives up everybody.
He can't stop talking. He's all chopped up.
Yeah.
What do you want to know? I'll tell you. Here's the deal, man.
And then one day, just following some people around, they pinch this low-level coke dealer who's friends with one of the pitchers on the Pirates. This guy named Dom Robinson, the guy who went to check on Scurry that one time. Oh. And this dealer, he tells the FBI about Dale Berra. He tells them about Scurry. They interview Berra. And then while they're interviewing Berra, they get a call from the Pittsburgh front office. And the Pittsburgh says, hey, there's this guy named Shelby Greer. He's always hanging out. Maybe you should look up him. Because the Pittsburgh front office is like, well...
Stay away from our players.
Yeah.
Look at the guy who's hanging out.
Look at the dealers. And now everyone's starting to freak out. All of the players, all of the dealers, they all feel like someone's following them. They all feel like they're being watched. And because they were.
Right.
They weren't wrong.
They're all on the team bus like Henry Hill.
Yeah, there's helicopters around the whole fucking chop team.
Yeah, there's even one player.
Choppers.
There's choppers everywhere.
And Henry Hill, by the way, is dealing with Pittsburgh in that fucking
he
scene.
is. Fuck.
And so all the players knew that they could be next for some sort of thing. One of the players, he injured his elbow, and the FBI knew he was in the hospital for a couple of days, so they go down to the hospital to go find him. Turns out he had just jumped out and run off, and he was out buying coke.
Yeah.
That man was Dale Berra.
Oh, Dale.
He'd gone to Kevin Connolly's house to buy more coke.
Dale.
So he's in the hospital for his elbow, but he leaves to go chop it up?
Mm-hmm. I mean, not probably using his non-injured arm,
Sure, yeah. This is Yogi Berra's son.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so now the FBI is just tailing all of these guys. And they're setting up buys. They're bugging the phones so they know who's going where. And, they're following the dealers when they go to these players' houses. And just seeing, they follow one of the dealers. And I think might have been Kevin Connolly. They follow him to this rich upscale neighborhood in Pittsburgh. A ball player opens the door. He's wearing a bathrobe, buys the Coke, closes the door, walks back inside. That man was Dale Barra.
Wow.
You boys want to play some baseball?
He's Chinese.
It was 3 p.m., and it was his second purchase of the day.
Oh my God.
What is it with guys in robes and Coke?
They love it.
Robes, John.
They're for Frenchmen and homosexuals.
Yes.
That's right.
And Coke fiends.
Coke daddies.
Coke daddies.
And so now that even the dealers are having their own troubles with doing so much Coke. Kevin Connolly once did 17 ounces in 17 days, he said.
No, dude, what?
What did he eat?
He was probably eating the chop.
They should have changed their name to the Cocaine Bears.
The Pablo Escobars.
Yeah. That's incredible amounts of chop.
That is insane. Do you think they had just a full deuce shit of chop?
Like they shat out.
Like they just shat out.
And they just chopped it up again.
Yeah, like they shat out this
Brick.
this misty
Hash of-
fog.
It's better the second time around.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Kicks it up a notch.
Kicks it up a notch.
No.
It's too much, Aaron.
It's too much.
It's too much.
This shit tastes like mustard and coffee.
And so now Rod Scurry, he keeps getting interviewed by the FBI, and they keep finding out more information. And they also notice that every time he leaves the interviews, he goes and buys more Coke.
After being interviewed by the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
They're
He
probably
goes-
cool with it because he keeps them talking,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. This guy never shuts up.
Yeah. That's very, very good. That's very, very good, Aaron.
Yeah, I was in the FBI once.
So the FBI, they finally have enough on Kevin Connolly. They raid his house. They find 9 ounces of Coke.
A day's worth.
That's all?
Yeah. Not much. He's
Must have been cutting down.
Yeah.
Or he's putting it in.
Yeah.
You would have had more. You should have come an hour ago.
I know. It's
Hold
almost,
on, I gotta take a shit.
It's almost, guys, it's almost 2:30 in the afternoon. You should have come. Should have come at the crack of dawn.
Delivery boy's coming. You're gonna see a giant parrot coming to the door. He's gonna smell like Folgers and Coleman's.
The FBI uses Kevin Connolly they connect him with Shelby Greer, and then they start tailing Greer, and they figure out how he works, how he deals his Coke. One of the things he would do is there are these 2 bars literally next to each other in Pittsburgh. He would go to one bar, buy a beer, take a couple sips, leave, go to another bar, buy a beer, take a couple sips, and then he would just keep walking back and forth. That way, anybody at either bar would know he was there and would buy Coke off of him. And then he would never lose his spot at the bar because his beer's there.
Right. Yeah.
Never got roofied, huh?
Very strategic use of piss.
Yes.
Yes.
And so they connect. They catch Greer. Then they connect Kevin Coke, and they say, "Hey, Coke for all of these dealers. They're saying to themselves, I'm not making money from these players. How can I really How can I get in trouble? I'm just breaking even." It didn't seem until the FBI shows up. It doesn't seem like it's a big deal.
Right.
I'm not making tons of money.
Right.
Shelby Greer got kicked out of his apartment because he couldn't pay for his apartment.
Jesus.
Kevin Connolly was living in squalor, even though he owned a business. And none of his neighbors knew because they're like, his house still sucks.
Squalor, Philadelphia. One of
Yeah.
the best neighborhoods outside of
Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh.
That's right, sir.
And so from this, the FBI convinces Kevin Coke to wear a wire.
Oh, yikes.
And he then buys from his friend Dale Schiffman. And the FBI now has a concrete indictment on Dale Schiffman. They eventually charge him for 111 counts, but they only really have one, and it's the wire. The rest of them can be explained like, I wasn't here, I was over here, because the rest of it was kind of hearsay.
Yeah.
And then eventually, They break one player who gives them everybody's name, gives them the whole deal. After the interview, this player goes and he buys more Coke.
Who is this player, Matt?
That man was Dale Bear.
Dale!
Oh, what a stooge, man. What a stooge.
Smell a rat.
God, good for him.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, God, I like.
Make his dad proud.
I can't help but love him.
Yeah.
I'll tell you everything you want to know. It's this guy, and he's chopping it up, and this dude gets his chop from this dude, but they don't share with me, so that's this dude. And all right, I'm gonna be out. I'm out of here. I'm gonna go. I gotta do a thing. I'll be back.
Do I get a phone call?
I'll be back. So just hold on. Just gotta see this dude.
He's a parrot.
Yeah. He's got a fucking ounce in his mustache.
He's got a big Coke mustache.
Like, don't have a mustache if that's your
That's
deal.
probably where it all went. Oh, yeah, 9 grams a night. It's in your fucking beard, you idiot.
I'm not even high.
Dude, I can just do this stuff all night. I don't get a hangover. Fucking shag carpet on your upper lip, you idiot.
And so now everybody's getting arrested, and the FBI has I believe it was the attorney for Pennsylvania, the
DA or
the
state.
DA of Pennsylvania. He brings a case against all of these players and against this one dealer named Curtis Strong, who they are able to connect to all of these different cities. But their reason, they give all of the players immunity. And their reasoning for this is that you don't charge the buyers, you charge the dealers.
Uh-huh.
Which is very convenient for all the players.
Sure.
Yeah.
America's pastime.
But it also means now the players are free to just come out and be honest and open. And so Curtis Strong is put on trial, and his lawyer is this local guy named Adam Renfro. And Renfro's idea to get Strong off is to put Major League Baseball on trial.
It sucks. The games are too long.
Yeah. And that's why they're doing coke. There's a lot of downtime. There's a lot of
do
downtime.
chop just to stay awake to the goddamn thing. We don't want to cause no trouble. We just want to do the... Whatever.
And so Renfro calls all of these players who have immunity to the stand to tell their story about drugs in baseball.
Jesus Christ, what a fucking shit show. I love to get chopped. I love it.
Next.
I hit the ball. That's it.
Now, some of them were like that, but most of the players were very honest and open about their cocaine use. Lonnie Smith was a career major leaguer. He was very honest. He said, "This I would do it all night. I'd be too jittery to play. Here are the people I would do it with. I would, because every team had guys who were doing coke.
Yeah.
And so anytime someone got traded, now they knew double the amount of people who were doing coke.
Hell yeah.
And they could say this guy, this guy, this guy. But they also pointed out that everybody was doing amphetamines. Willie Mays, this was the big revelation from the trial, is that pirate John Milner, he was teammates with Willie Mays, and he said, yeah, Willie had this liquid speed in his locker. And that's when the news really broke, because Willie was an American icon,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the first time people had any sense that he was doing drugs.
Yeah.
And Keith Hernandez, the great Keith Hernandez, when he was in St. Louis, he was doing coke all the time. He said 40% of major leaguers were probably using. And he said in 1980, he did so much coke, he forgot the entire season.
Jesus
Oh my God, that's like Bowie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bowie forgot recording, it wasn't Ziggy Stardust, but it was another album. He's like, I just remember doing so much chop.
Yeah, the Thin White Duke era. I once saw, there's an exhibit in Chicago with all of his costumes, and they had his Coke spoon on display.
He was huge.
Really?
It was very nice.
I think, what's his name? Doesn't remember writing Naked Lunch, too.
Oh, well, he was doing heroin.
Yeah.
Burroughs.
Yeah, but
I'll be
no-
doing a profile on him.
Yeah, no
Oh.
recollection of the writing of that book.
That's interesting. It makes total sense because I don't remember reading it.
Oh, well, I mean,
because it's out of control.
it is, but I mean, imagine not doing your signature work in life.
Well, then what a great gift that is for him to enjoy it as a fan.
Yeah.
I mean, Da Vinci doesn't really give a shit about the Mona Lisa, but I bet if he forgot he painted it, he's like, "Wow, this is really great stuff. Who did this?
Who wrote this book? This is nuts. You dumb fuck.
This book's crazy."
Oh.
And so at the end of this Curtis Strong trial, Curtis Strong is convicted, and he goes to jail. His lawyer, Adam Renfro, would make these big scenes and would insult the jury and did all these things to the point where the judge was like, if you don't knock this off, you're going to be in contempt of court. At the end of the trial, the judge put him in contempt of court. And after that, he was 35 years old and he entered rehab because he also had a 16-year cocaine addiction.
He was so chopped up. As soon as you
fucking jury, you idiots!
As soon as you said he was making scenes, I'm like, this guy's chopped to the gills.
35. He'd been doing coke since he was 21.
Oh my god.
Just screaming at the jury, I don't care what you think.
You guys are too stupid to get out of fucking
you
jury
didn't
duty. You gotta be
understand.
smart like me
You gotta
doing
be-
chop.
Yeah. I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be back. You suck.
Jury of your peers.
Judge, fuck you.
And then, so all of this stuff got out. The commissioner, Peter Ueberroth, commissioner of baseball, he suspended 11 players.
Ooh,
A whole 11 players. And
Can you imagine how chopped those 11 must have been compared to the rest? Like they must have been just like assholes full of blow. You know what I mean? Like just the most obviously chopped psychos in baseball.
The Fall Guys.
Yeah, everybody's doing it, and you gotta throw fucking Dale Berra out there because it's too obvious how much of a fucking chopped up idiot he is.
And so after that, Peter Ueberroth, he said, we've done it. We've cut drugs out of baseball.
Oh!
In 1986, the Mets were infamous for doing a shitload of drugs.
Oh, yes.
In the early, late 90s, steroids were rampant in baseball.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nothing was
Good
really
thing they
fixed.
cleaned that up.
They cleaned it all up.
Thank you, Congress, for spending valuable tax dollars on investigating a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing really stopped. So Berra, some of the Pirates, a couple other players, they were suspended from baseball, and everybody just kind of said, "We've done it. Now we can move on."
Who's got the chop?
Who's got the time? And in 1992, in Reno, Nevada, the sheriff's department got a call about disturbance outside of the house of Rod Scurry.
Oh, God. And what year is this?
1992.
Oh, this is years and years later.
This is almost about 8 years later. So, They arrive and they find Rod Scurry on his front lawn, yelling about he has snakes crawling all over him.
God damn
and they're
it.
biting him.
These fucking snakes.
So the officers, doing what they do, they tackle him to the ground and they put his arms and hands and they bind them up.
Mm-hmm.
And
Did they get bit by the snakes?
well, it's hard to say because he collapsed unconscious.
Wow.
4 days later, he died of heart failure and a brain hemorrhage. He was 36 years old.
Shit.
About 12 years removed from the greatest baseball season he's ever had.
Wow.
And his mother said, I wish he'd never learned to throw that curveball.
Oh my God.
That's a big old yikes. Fuck you, Mom.
Wow.
You had a great life. Minus the snakes.
Minus the snakes.
I mean, but snakes are a motherfucker.
Dude, I've had it with these motherfucking snakes in my motherfucking hotel room.
Yeah. I hate it when the snakes are in the chop.
I know. Oh. That's why you got a razor blade.
That's why you gotta chop
You gotta chop them up. Yep.
Damn, dude.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's so much chop.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of snakes.
Yogi Berra's kid is just, that's so funny. to
Pisser,
me.
dude.
Yeah.
What a
Hey,
fucking
you
pisser.
You guys know my dad?
He would later, Dale would later go and play for the Yankees when Yogi was with them. Yogi was managing them for about half a season. Then when Yogi got fired, Dale was slowly, wasn't kicked off the team, but his playing time dwindled.
Politely
And
asked.
yeah,
That is good stuff.
Matt, thank you.
Yes.
I love sport. I love Chop Story.
Yes, I do love a good chop, a chop saga. It was a very, very crazy chop saga. And like, I thought you were going to go full Mets the whole time once it was chopping baseball.
Yes. Well, the Mets definitely did a lot of chop, but they were filthy in so many ways.
Yeah.
They would have food fights on planes.
Oh, God.
They would, they would like sit on each other's faces.
I love it. I love it. And I love the New York Mets.
You do.
I do. And
Metropolitans.
maybe that should be another profile for another day. It's just all the fucking teabagging, chop fiend Mets.
Yes.
I would love that. I would really love that.
They were gross.
That's,
They weren't like druggy. They were just gross. They called themselves vile fuckers. They called themselves that.
We're vile fuckers, in we.
John, you are a vile. You're my little vile fucker.
I think so.
You're my little vile fucker.
But you know what I do with my vials? Is I dive head first so I don't break them.
That's right.
That's what I do.
Learn from the best.
It's my business.
Vile protector. Vile keeper.
I will protect the vials.
My people are tired. Perhaps it's because we are in ketogenic diet.
I guess I also want to say, cocaine is not a performance-enhancing drug.
No, it's an entire distraction
Yes.
from everything you have to do. in
Amphetamines
life.
are a performance-enhancing drug.
Sure,
Coke
sure.
is not.
No.
And Dave Parker is not in the Hall of Fame, even though he has numbers better than Jim Rice's from Boston. Two-time Hall of Famer, two-time batting champ.
Yeah.
And he's not in the Hall of Fame probably because of the chop.
Yeah, they just, they just liked it.
Yeah.
They just really liked it.
Yeah.
And they had a hang-up, and it was they like chop.
Hey.
And everybody's different. And some people love to chop it up.
And some people love baseball.
Yeah.
And sometimes those two groups are the same.
And sometimes you want meth in your red drink.
Hey.
And you know what I mean? Like everybody's a special snowflake, and they all do things differently.
Hey, Willie, you putting sugar in your Kool-Aid over there? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure am.
You're gonna get diabetes, dude.
they didn't outlaw amphetamines in baseball until the early 2000s.
No.
I mean, technically, amphetamines are still not outlawed at all.
Well, not for the general public, but I think...
No, but I mean, like Adderall and shit like that, like it's still...
Well, you're not allowed to, like, if you're in the Olympics, you can't even take, like, Viagra because it's a vasodilator and
Really?
technically a performance enhancer. Like, you can get a pump on it. So but the thing is, with almost every drug except for weed, it's out of your system days, hours later.
Yeah.
So you can get sky high on chop or amphetamine, and if you're a few days later, it's not going to show up. Unless they, like, test your hair or something.
There's this Texas manager named Ron Washington, and about 10 years ago, he tested positive for coke. And I was talking to my friend Frank, who was my boss at the time, and I was like, Frank, that's bad luck. And he goes, it's not bad luck. If you get caught doing that, that means you're doing a lot of chop.
Yeah.
It's out of your system really quickly.
Yeah. It's not bad luck. It's bad timing.
Yeah, it's just all the timing.
Mm-hmm.
And, baseball, there's so much down. There really is an insane... Even the games are downtime.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even if you're in the field, there's downtime.
sure.
And so you go places and you wait, and these amphetamines, they were destroying a lot of players. One of the writers, I think it was Buster Olney, he said he's really interested to see what happened to alcoholism in baseball after they got rid of the amphetamines, because guys would be so buggy after taking a bunch of amphetamines during the game, they would get on a plane and they couldn't fall asleep unless they drank 15, 20 beers.
Right.
Wow.
And so suddenly everybody had a drinking problem.
Yeah. Damn.
Cool.
Pretty much. That's why Wade Boggs had 30. He was just trying to sleep.
Oh, Wade.
God damn it. That's really good shit.
Drugs and baseball.
Drugs and baseball are
They go hand in hand.
They do. A lot. Something like somewhere. According to some players, somewhere between 50 and 75% of baseball players smoke weed.
Right.
They don't test for weed though.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Right.
That's interesting.
In the majors, they don't test for weed. In the
That's
minors,
fucking
they do.
interesting, man.
That's very interesting.
Do they not? They don't test. Do they test the NBA?
For
They
weed?
probably. I feel like they do. They definitely do in football,
Yeah, but definitely no football.
which is insane because if there's any sport that needs weed,
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, my brain hit my skull. I better feel it.
Hey, don't do drugs.
Yeah.
Just
Show me your ass. I'm gonna shoot you with this.
Yeah.
Have these opiates, huh?
Yeah. I'm gonna say let's wrap it up.
What?
all right.
Let's do
Are
it.
we gonna chop it up?
Chop it up. Chop
What do
it
you got
up.
to chop? Red drink. Shit.
Hey, you got a wet finger or something?
Ooh, it could be. Give me a minute.
Oh wait, one more thing.
Oh.
Sorry, I forgot about
I
this.
love one more thing.
So Kevin Koch went to jail for a few months. Dale Schiffman went to jail for 2 years out of 12. I think Kevin Connolly went to jail for a few years. I can't remember. But Schiffman was really hurt that his best friend had worn a wire and given him up. And Koch, as he said, as soon as he did it, it killed him. It hurt. It tortured him for the rest of his life. And then about 10 years ago, Schiffman met up with Koch, and they, for the first time since the trial, and they got together and they cried it out.
Wow.
And because Schiffman, he was in jail and he found God, and he was like, I got to forgive the guy.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was so chopped up. I was so sorry.
So the fucking snakes.
I was covered in snakes, and I wished you were with me.
They were watching the TV through me.
They were watching me. They were watching me.
And I just wanted you to watch
And I was just,
see me, dude.
And I was like, if they're watching me, why don't they save me from these snakes?
I was so alone.
If they can see me, why don't they see a man covered head to toe in snakes?
Why have you forsaken me?
There's a lot of stuff. I hope
I loved it, Matt.
That was great.
That was a great ass profile. Chopping baseball.
Woo, the Pittsburgh chop.
The Pittsburgh chop. And it's not even like an offensive Native American thing.
thankfully.
Not every episode's perfect.
Well, my people are tired. So we're going to say goodnight, everybody. My name is John Fahey. I love you.
My name is Aaron Pita, and I love you too.
Matt Bruzo, before we leave, I just want to say a big thank you to David Sharp for pointing me towards this and giving me a copy of the book, The Pittsburgh Cocaine 7. I believe that's the colorful title. Thanks, folks. Good night.
Good night, guys.